The storm came without warning. Dark clouds rolled over the village like a heavy blanket. Wind pushed against the wooden houses. Doors shook. Windows rattled. But the people were not looking at the sky. They were looking at her. She stood alone in the middle of the village square. Tall, silent, different. Her name was Alara. She was a giantess, taller than any man, stronger than any warrior. Her shadow covered the ground like a tree. But tonight, she looked small, because the villagers had already judged her. She cannot give children, one woman whispered loudly. She is useless, said another. In this land, a woman's value was simple. She must give sons. She must grow the family name. Alara could not, so they called her empty. The village leader stepped forward. His voice was cold. You have stayed here long enough, he said. You bring no future to this land. Rain began to fall. Heavy. But Alara did not cry. She had heard these words before. Her husband had died 2 winters ago. After that, the healer had spoken the final truth. She would never bear a child. From that day, smiles turned into stares. Friends turned into strangers. And now, home turned into exile. Leave before sunrise, the leader said. No one defended her. No one spoke her name with kindness. Alara nodded once. She turned away. The storm followed her as she walked toward the forest. Far from the village square, on the edge of the woods, stood a small broken house. Inside lived Eric and his 3 children. Eric was once a proud hunter. But after his wife died last winter, everything became harder. Food was less. Wood was heavy. Nights were colder. His youngest child, Mira, was only 5. She still woke up crying for her mother. That night, as the storm grew stronger, the roof began to leak again. Eric tried to fix it, but the wind pushed him back. Stay inside, he told the children. Then something strange happened. A loud crack echoed from outside. Eric grabbed his old hunting knife. He stepped outside into the rain, and he froze. Standing near the broken fence was a tall shadow. Alara. She had stopped walking when she saw the house shaking in the storm. Without speaking, she walked to the side of the roof. She lifted a heavy wooden beam as if it weighed nothing. She pressed it back into place. The wind could not move it anymore. Eric stared at her. He had seen her before in the village. He knew what people said, but this did not look like a monster. This looked like someone trying to help. Before he could speak, the door behind him opened. The children ran outside. Mira, he shouted, but it was too late. The little girl ran straight toward the giantess. Alara stepped back, afraid she might scare her. But Mira stopped in front of her and looked up with wide eyes. You're big, she said softly. The 2 older children came closer. They were not afraid. They were curious. Alara did not understand. Most people avoided her. Children usually cried. But these 3 were smiling. Mira reached out and held Alara's large hand. It was warm. Are you lost? Mira asked. Alara opened her mouth, but no words came out. The rain slowed. The storm softened. Then the smallest child said something that made Eric's heart stop. Can you be our new mother? The world went silent. Even the wind seemed to pause. Alara felt something break inside her. Not pain, but something deeper. Hope. Eric did not know what to say. The woman no one wanted was being chosen. And none of them knew that this small moment in the rain would change everything. The next morning, the storm was gone. But the silence in the village was heavier than the rain had been. Alara did not leave. She had stayed outside Eric's house the whole night. Not because she expected welcome. Not because she believed the child's words. She stayed because for the first time in years, someone had asked her to stay. Inside the small house, Eric did not sleep. He sat near the fire, thinking. The village had already decided her fate. If they saw her here, there would be trouble. But when he looked at his children, he saw something he had not seen since his wife died. Light. Hope. In the morning, Mira ran outside before Eric could stop her. Alara, she called. The giantess turned slowly. She looked unsure, like someone standing on thin ice. The 2 older children followed. Are you leaving? The oldest boy asked. Alara looked at the forest behind her. That was where she was supposed to go. But her feet did not move. I do not wish to cause trouble, she said softly. You're not trouble, Mira said quickly. The wind was trouble. The children laughed. Alara felt something warm in her chest again. Eric stepped outside. He stood tall, even though he was small compared to her. "You fixed my roof," he said. "Why?" Alara hesitated. "Because it was falling. That's all." She nodded. Eric studied her face. There was no pride, no anger, only quiet strength. Before he could speak again, loud footsteps came from the road. Villagers. They had heard. Whispers travel fast in small places. The village leader stood at the front. "We told you to leave," he said coldly. Alara lowered her head, but Mira stepped forward. "She helped us," the little girl shouted. The villagers murmured. "She cannot give children," someone said again. "She is cursed," another voice added. Eric felt the weight of their words. He knew how this village worked. They followed tradition. They feared change. The leader looked at Eric. "You are a widower. You need a real wife. Someone who can give you sons." Eric's jaw tightened. He looked at his children. Then he did something unexpected. He knelt down to their level. "Tell me the truth," he said softly. "Do you want her here?" The oldest boy answered first. "She is strong." The second child said, "She listens." Mira hugged Alara's leg. "She feels like home." The words hit the square like thunder. The villagers fell silent. Alara's eyes filled with tears, but she did not let them fall. No one had ever chosen her before. Not freely, not proudly. The village leader shook his head. "You are making a mistake," he warned Eric. "This will not end well." "Maybe," Eric said quietly. "But my children have already lost one mother. I will not take away the one they choose." Gasps spread through the crowd. Alara looked at Eric, shocked. He stepped closer to her. "If you wish to stay," he said, "you may." Not as charity, not as pity, but as choice. The wind moved gently through the trees. The villagers slowly stepped back. Some angry, some confused, some afraid. Alara looked down at the children, holding her hands. She had been called empty her whole life. But in that moment, she had never felt more full. And none of them knew that the village's anger was only the beginning. Because something older than fear had started to wake. And it was watching. Life did not return to normal. It changed. At first, the village only watched. They expected problems. They expected failure. They waited for something bad to happen. But strange things began to happen instead. The land around Eric's house grew stronger. The small garden behind the house, which had struggled for years, suddenly became green. The vegetables were larger. The soil felt richer. Eric noticed it first. "I did not plant this much," he said one morning, staring at the tall crops. Alara only shook her head. She had done nothing. Or, at least, she thought she had done nothing. The animals also changed. Wolves that once hunted near the house stopped coming close. Deer began to rest near the fence. Birds sat on the roof without fear. The children loved it. "It's because of her," Mira said proudly. "She's magic." Alara did not like that word. Magic had always meant danger in the village. And the village had started whispering again. "She's using dark power. She's trying to control the land." Fear spreads faster than truth. One afternoon, a traveler arrived. He was old, with silver hair and sharp eyes. He carried no weapons, only a long staff. He stopped near Eric's house. When he saw Alara, he froze. Then slowly he bowed. Not a small bow, a deep one. Eric stepped forward, confused. "You know her?" he asked. The old man looked at Alara carefully. "I know what she is," he said. Alara's face tightened. "I am nothing," she replied quietly. The old man shook his head. "No, you are guardian blood." The words felt heavy in the air. Eric frowned. "What does that mean?" The old man stepped closer, but kept a respectful distance. "Long ago," he began, "giantesses like her protected human lands. They were not rulers. They were not monsters. They were shields." The children listened closely. "What happened to them?" the oldest boy asked. "Humans became afraid," the old man answered. "They feared their strength. They feared their size. So they made stories. They spread lies. And in time, they placed a seal on their blood." Alara's heart beat faster. "A seal?" she whispered. The old man nodded. "Not to stop birth," he said, "but to stop trust." Silence fell. Eric did not understand. The old man continued. "The seal blocks the bond between giantess and human. Without trust, her power sleeps. Without love freely given, her blood remains quiet." Mira squeezed Alara's hand. But we trust her, she said. The old man smiled softly. Yes, that is why the land responds. Eric looked around at the tall crops, the calm animals. You mean this is her doing? The old man nodded. She is not cursed. She is sealed, and seals can weaken. Alara felt dizzy. All her life, she believed she was broken. Empty. Useless. But what if she was simply waiting? The old man turned serious. There's a reason the seal exists. When guardian blood awakens, it calls to things in the dark. Eric's expression changed. What things? The old man looked toward the forest. Things that once hunted them. As if on command, a cold wind passed through the trees. The birds flew away suddenly. The deer, near the fence, ran into the woods. Alara felt it too. A pressure in the air, like eyes watching from far away. The old man stepped back. You have begun something, he said quietly, and others will notice. The children moved closer to Alara. For the first time, fear touched their faces. Alara stood taller, not because she was proud, but because she understood something new. If her blood was waking, then danger was coming. And this time, she would not run, because now, she had something worth protecting. And deep in the forest, something ancient had already started moving. The forest did not sleep that night. It breathed, slow, heavy, like something large was walking between the trees. Eric felt it first. He woke before midnight, his hunter's instincts sharp again after many quiet years. The air felt wrong, too still. He stepped outside with his bow in his hand. The moon was hidden behind thick clouds. Alara was already awake. She stood near the fence, looking toward the dark forest. You feel it too, Eric said quietly. She nodded. Yes. Her voice was calm, but her hands were clenched. Inside the house, the children were sleeping close together. They had not noticed yet. Then it came. A low growl. Not from one throat. From many. Shadows moved between the trees. Tall. Thin. Wrong. They were not wolves. They were not bears. Their shapes bent like smoke, but walked like hunters. The old traveler's warning echoed in Eric's mind. When guardian blood awakens, it calls to things in the dark. One of the shadows stepped into the moonlight. Its body looked like twisted branches and black mist. Its eyes burned pale blue. It did not look at Eric. It looked at Alara. It had come for her. The fence shattered as 3 more creatures rushed forward. Eric fired an arrow. It passed through one of them. The creature did not slow down. Alara, Eric shouted, but she was already moving. She stepped in front of the house, in front of the door, in front of the children. The first creature leaped. Alara caught it midair. Her hands crushed its smoky body against the ground. The earth shook. The creature screamed, a sound like breaking ice, but did not die. It tried to rise again. More shadows rushed forward. Eric stood beside her. His arrows slowed them, but they kept coming. They were not attacking the village. They were not hunting animals. They were targeting only one place. Her. Inside the house, Mira woke up. She heard the noise. She ran to the window. Papa, she whispered. The oldest boy pulled her back. Stay down. Outside, Alara fought like a storm. She lifted one creature and threw it into another. She tore at the smoky forms, but they reformed again and again. They were not fully alive, but not fully dead either. One shadow slipped past her. It rushed toward the door. Eric saw it too late. The door exploded inward. The children screamed. Something inside Alara broke. Not fear, not anger, something deeper. A roar escaped her chest. Not human, not monster. The ground beneath her feet cracked. A faint golden light spread across her skin. The shadows paused. For the first time, they hesitated. Alara stepped into the doorway. She stood between darkness and her children. You will not touch them, she said. Her voice carried power now. The light grew stronger. The shadow near the children reached out. Alara slammed her hand against the ground. A wave of force exploded outward. The creatures were thrown back like leaves in a storm. Their forms flickered. The forest howled in response. One by one, the shadows retreated into the trees. Not defeated, but driven back. Silence returned slowly. Eric rushed inside. The children were safe. Shaking. but safe. Alara stood in the broken doorway. The golden light faded. Her knees trembled. Eric caught her before she fell. The village lights began to glow in the distance. People had seen. They had heard. They would come now. Alara looked at the forest one last time. They will return, she said softly. Eric tightened his grip on his bow. Then we will be ready. But deep inside, he knew something had changed. The seal was weakening. Her power was waking. And the forest had just tested its strength. Next time would not send scouts. It would send something worse. Morning came slowly. The broken door still lay on the floor. The fence was shattered. Dark marks stained the ground where the shadow creatures had stood. The village gathered outside Eric's house. No one laughed now. No one whispered, useless. They had seen the light. They had heard the roar. They had watched the forest retreat. The village leader stepped forward carefully. What were those things? He asked. The old traveler stood beside him. They're called Nightborn, he said. They hunt guardian blood. Fear spread across the crowd. Will they come back? Someone asked. Yes, the traveler answered. Silence followed. Eric stood near Alara. She looked weaker than before. The golden light was gone. Her skin looked pale. Mira held her large hand. You saved us, the little girl said softly. Alara forced a small smile. That is what I was meant to do. The traveler stepped closer to her. Your seal is cracking, he said quietly. Alara looked confused. I felt something last night, she admitted. Like fire, but not burning. The traveler nodded. The seal was placed generations ago. Humans feared your kind, so they bound your power with doubt and rejection. The villagers shifted uncomfortably. You were told you were empty, the traveler continued. That belief was part of the seal. Alara's eyes widened. So, I was never broken? No, he said firmly. You were never broken. Tears finally fell from her eyes. Years of shame. Years of silence. Years of believing she was less. All built on a lie. Suddenly, a sharp cry came from inside the house. The oldest boy collapsed to the ground. Eric rushed to him. His skin felt cold. Too cold. The traveler's face darkened. The Nightborn touched him, he said. They left a mark. Alara's heart pounded. The boy's breathing slowed. Eric looked helpless. Do something, he whispered. The traveler looked at Alara. There is only one way. She understood before he finished speaking. She placed her large hand over the boy's chest. I do not know how, she said. You do, the traveler replied softly. Trust yourself. The villagers watched in silence. Alara closed her eyes. She remembered Myra's words. You are already our mother. Something warm moved inside her again. Not rage, not strength. Love, pure and simple. The golden light returned. But this time it was softer, gentler. It flowed from her hand into the boy's chest. The mark on his skin began to fade. His breathing grew steady. Color returned to his face. Eric gasped. The villagers stepped back in awe. Alara swayed, but did not fall. When she removed her hand, the boy opened his eyes. Mother, he whispered weakly. The word hung in the air. Alara froze. He had never called her that before. Eric felt tears in his eyes. The traveler smiled. The seal is broken, he said. Not by battle, not by anger, but by choice. By love freely given. The villagers looked at Alara differently now. Not as a curse, not as a mistake, but as something ancient, something powerful. Alara looked at the boy, then at the other children. She had believed her whole life that she could not give life. But she just had, not through birth, but through sacrifice. The forest beyond the village stirred again. The Nightborn had felt it. Her power had awakened fully now. And this time, they would not send small hunters. They would send their master. But Alara no longer stood alone. She stood as guardian, as protector, as mother. And she was ready. The forest did not wait long. 3 nights after the seal broke, the air changed again. But this time it was different. The darkness did not hide. It gathered. A black mist rolled between the trees like a rising tide. The ground felt heavy. Even the animals fled far from the village. The old traveler stood in the center of the road. He is coming, he said quietly. Who? Eric asked. The one who commands a Nightborn. The villagers panicked. Some ran to pack their things. Some shouted that this was Alara's fault. But the village leader did not speak. He was watching Alara. She stood at the edge of the village, facing the forest. Not afraid. Not running. Waiting. The children stood behind her. Eric stepped to her side. "You do not have to fight alone," he said. She looked at him, surprised. "I have always fought alone," she answered softly. "Not anymore," he said. The village leader walked forward slowly. For the first time, his voice held no pride. "If we run, we lose everything," he said to the people. "If we fight together." Murmurs spread. Fear was still there, but something else was growing too. Shame. They had rejected her. Now she was the only reason they were still alive. The mist reached the edge of the trees. From it stepped a tall figure. Not smoke. Not shadow. Solid. Its body looked carved from dark stone. Long horns curved from its head. Its eyes glowed white like cold fire. The Nightborn Master. It looked at Alara and smiled without warmth. "Guardian blood," it said in a deep, echoing voice. "You finally wake." The ground trembled as dozens of shadow creatures formed behind it. Eric felt his hand shake. The villagers raised simple weapons. Axes, tools, old swords. They were farmers, not warriors. Alara stepped forward. "You hold my bloodline," she said calmly. "You were sealed for a reason," the master replied. "Your kind keeps balance. Balance is not what we want." The shadows began to move. This time, they did not rush blindly. They attacked as one wave. Eric shouted, "Hold the line." Arrows flew. Axes swung. Men and women fought with fear in their eyes. But something had changed. They were not fighting for pride. They were fighting for each other. Alara moved like lightning. Her golden light returned, brighter than before. She crushed shadows with her fists. She shielded villagers with her body. But the master did not attack yet. It watched, studying her. Then it raised its hand. A spear of dark energy shot toward the children. Alara saw it too late. She leaped. The spear struck her back. A cry escaped her lips. She fell to one knee. The children screamed. Eric ran to her, but shadows blocked his path. The master stepped closer. "You protect them," it said. "That is your weakness." Alara struggled to stand. Blood stained her shoulder. But she looked at the children. At Eric. At the villagers fighting beside her. "They are not my weakness," she whispered. "They are my strength." The golden light exploded outward. Not soft. Not gentle. Fierce. Blinding. The shadows shrieked. Villagers felt warmth fill their bodies. Their fear lessened. Their courage rose. For the first time, the light did not come from Alara alone. It spread through everyone standing with her. The master stepped back. Its smile faded. "You have bonded them," it hissed. "Yes," Alara said, rising fully to her feet. And they chose. The battle was no longer one giantess against darkness. It was a village united. And the master realized something too late. The seal had not only broken her power, it had hidden her purpose. She was never meant to stand above humans. She was meant to stand with them. And together, they were stronger than fear. The light did not fade quickly. It stayed in the air like sunrise after a long night. The Nightborn Master screamed as the golden wave pushed against it. The shadows around it began to break apart. Not into smoke this time, but into nothing. The villagers felt strength in their arms. Fear no longer controlled them. Eric fought his way to Alara's side. She stood tall again, even with blood on her shoulder. The master stared at her. "You were sealed because humans betray," it said. Alara looked at the villagers. They were wounded, tired, but still standing. "They chose," she answered. "And I chose them." The master lifted both hands. The sky darkened once more. The ground cracked beneath its feet. It gathered all remaining darkness into one final strike. A giant spear of shadow formed above its head. It aimed not at Alara, not at the warriors, but at the center of the village, at the homes, at everything they loved. Alara understood immediately. If that strike landed, the village would be gone. She did not hesitate. She ran forward. Eric shouted her name. The children cried out. Alara leaped into the air just as the spear fell. It struck her directly. A blinding explosion shook the valley. For a moment, there was only white light. Then silence. When the dust cleared, the villagers slowly opened their eyes. The master was gone. The shadows were gone. The forest was quiet. In the center of the road lay Alara. Still, Eric ran to her. The children followed. He lifted her head gently. Her skin was pale, but peaceful. "Stay with us," he whispered. Mira held her hand tightly. "You can't leave," she said through tears. "You promised." The old traveler stepped closer. "She gave everything," he said softly. "Guardian blood protects until the end." The villagers stood around them, not as judges, not as doubters, but as witnesses. Suddenly, a soft warmth spread across the ground. The broken earth beneath Alara began to glow faintly. Green shoots pushed through the soil. Flowers bloomed where her blood had fallen. The children felt her hand grow warm again. Her chest moved slightly. Eric looked down in shock. She breathed. Slow, weak, but alive. The traveler smiled. "She did not give her life," he said. "She planted it." Days passed. Alara remained weak, but she healed. The village rebuilt stronger than before. No one called her empty again. No one called her cursed. Children from other homes began to visit her. They listened to her stories. They sat at her feet. They laughed without fear. One evening, as the sun set, the oldest boy sat beside her. "Why did you save us?" he asked quietly. Alara looked at him with soft eyes. "Because you chose me," she answered. He thought for a moment. "Does that make you our mother?" She smiled gently. "Mother is not about blood," she said. "It is about who stands when others fall." The boy nodded. He leaned against her arm. In that moment, the village understood something they had forgotten long ago. Strength is not measured by birth. Worth is not measured by children carried in the womb. Love is not limited by blood. The infertile giantess they once rejected had become something greater. She was not only mother to 3 children. She was protector of a village, guardian of balance, and proof that sometimes the one no one wants is the one everyone needs.